So first of all, thank you, Breaking Convention, for inviting me. Thank you for giving me the first prize for my, as I think, worst essay. And thank you for quite a good money that I got for it as well. And that's why I am here. And yeah, my essay was about the art of dying and the mystery of death. My understanding of the mystery of death is rooted now quite heavily in my academic studies. Although I don't belong to academia. I am a professional. I am a carer. I am a death doula. And why I studied myth, cosmology, and the sacred at the University of Canterbury was because I wanted to answer my questions: what happens when we cross over, and does something survive physical death? Because I had patients who basically were living witnesses of that, yes, something survives physical death. I want to stand with one foot in the mystical, the ancient knowledge, the occult, the mystery, and with the other foot in modern science, contemporary science. But I don't belong to academia. Yes, I set up an organization, Mind Medicine Foundation, and our first project is an academic research center. So you never know what happens in the future. But at the moment, I sit with the dying people. Yeah, and another thing that helped me understand what actually happens is my own psychedelic experience. During my studies for 2 years, I had 12 carefully planned high-dose ayahuasca and psilocybin sessions. And yeah, by that time, my own stance had already been formed by reading Jung, Groff, you know, Fenwick, Laszlo, Newton, Moody, Strassman, Luke, Kastrup, and many, many others. Moreover, I came across and learned from the ancient mysteries, from the mysteries of Egypt and the blue lily. I tried it myself. I made psychedelic wine. Greece, Eleusinian mysteries and ergot, the Mesoamerican mysteries of mushroom cults, shamanic trance journeys with Amanita Muscaria. I am an Amanita Muscaria user. I microdose for many reasons, and it's the best mushroom in the world, I can tell you, and also for eliminating death anxiety. But that wasn't my experience. In my essay, I only wrote about my experience. Yeah, and all of that led me to the current psychedelic research as well, and clinical trials, and also literature about NDEs. And NDEs are, I think, one of the most researched phenomena in scientific, in academia. Yeah. Okay. The stepping stone. I started with this stepping stone, and I strongly stand in this, and I will not change my mind. So basically, that consciousness, the brain is a filter of consciousness. It's kind of a radio antenna, and it filters consciousness, which transmits part of the vaster consciousness of reality, like a partially opaque glass allowing through a few rays of a supersolar blaze. The degree of opacity or threshold of brain activity can vary, so that under certain conditions, more light on or an awareness of a wider and more intense range of consciousness is possible. So basically what William James says is, if an individual brain is damaged, disintegrates or dies, this larger consciousness which we filter through our brain does not cease to exist. So that is my stance. That is where I stand. Is it the next one? Okay, yeah. Today, and Beish is one of my favorite teachers, and I agree with him, and I can tell you that today my God is the whole universe. I see all reality, both physical and spiritual reality, as the manifestation of a single intelligence, That is what my experience with these substances have told me and have showed me, and I experienced that physically. Single intelligence whose nature is beyond our capacity to fully grasp, but not beyond our capacity to experience to some degree, says Beige. So my metaphysical convictions coincide with Christopher Beige convictions, and I can tell that all existence is a unitary whole. The entire physical universe is conscious. The physical universe is part of a larger divine reality. And I use this understanding and knowledge to help people to cross over. And I also want to open a school called The Art of Dying. That's in the future. Today I have lots of real work in the real world because we have wars and viruses and all sorts of adversities happening at the moment. Okay. Yeah. This is one of my psilocybin experiences where I saw a forest. I was in the middle of the forest, and it was real. It was absolutely real. And these two realities, the reality of my room and the reality of the forest, they were kind of overlapping, but they kind of occupied the same space, but without any complications to see them or to differentiate between them. And suddenly there was a bright white wooden door in the middle of the forest. And I stood up and walked towards the door and opened it. And behind the door there was the same kind of forest, but the trees somehow had come to life. And what they said, all your adversities began when the great divorce happened. And I was puzzled. What divorce? What happened? And they said, when man left the forest. When you were one of us, not separated from us, you knew the language of the trees. You were happy, healthy, and content. And my natural response to it was, I cannot leave my house and go and live in the woods. They said, no, you don't have to. Just take us as your allies. Stop killing us. It hurts as much as it hurts you when you cut your flesh. And at that moment, the trees started all as one saying, return, return, return. Yeah, and in my dissertation, and also in the essay, I claimed that it is the illusion of a separate self, the illusion of a solo separate self that does not let us comprehend and accept the true reality of things and what death is and what survives physical death. Yeah, so it is this illusion of separate self is the root cause of the death phobia and the suffering of modern human. And basically, we live in the era of death phobia. Before his death, Albert Hoffman wrote that alienation from nature and the loss of the experience of being part of the living creation is the greatest tragedy of our era. Obviously, Stanislav Grof adds quite a lot as well. But I would say that our modern culture is traumatizing us as well. We're constantly bombarded with information from time we were born about separation and disconnection, and what happens now with all these races and genders and age and whatnot. All other modern ideologies are about separation. What about unity? You know, separation from ourselves, separation from people around us, from nature, from the planet, from the sacred cosmos, and here we are. The result of this disconnection is we live in a society driven by fear. And the fear of dying is the largest of all. And you know that through the fear of dying, whoever rules this physical world can absolutely have control over us if we have the fear of dying. That's the best tool to manipulate people. Anyway, Albert Einstein once said, I don't know why it's always so weird. Albert Einstein once said that you cannot solve the problem with the same state of mind you created it. So many consciousness researchers attribute absolute highest importance to consciousness change on the way towards healing our psyches and regard psychedelics as catalyzers. And I am the living example. I think I have healed myself. To stay sane in the insane world around us, to stop fearing and start loving, and getting back to the state of mind when we walked with and talked to gods and nature. And then all the fears dissolve. There's only love. What is dying, and can we somehow stop fearing it and accept it? Anthony Bossis, I love him. He's a clinical and palliative psychologist. He sees a parallel between people who are at the end of life and people who undergo a psychedelic experience for the first time. And he says dying is like a psychedelic experience. Both of them, you are confronted with a certain level of truth and insight. If you can integrate those insights, you can live and die differently. If you die before you die, you don't die when you die. And it was all about the ancient mystery schools, Eleusinian mysteries, Egyptian mysteries, and later in the Roman Empire, and the Mayan mysteries. We need our personal initiation into the art of dying. That's for sure. It has been long proved that it's the trance states or expanded states of consciousness that are particularly recommended for healing our psyches and shattering the illusion of a separate self. There are many ways to reach these states, and we know it's fasting and meditation and self-torture and all sorts of things. Ritual, dancing, fire walking, drumming, sweat lodges. Come to Latvia for a sweat lodge. 3 hours when you get into altered states of consciousness. Fantastic, yeah. But, however, the use of psychedelics appears to be the easiest, the fastest, and the most reliable technique. As concerns my patients, if somebody has a stage 4 cancer, go and tell them, sit down, close your eyes, and think about nothing. It won't happen, because it just doesn't happen like that. You know? So, I think I will skip quite a few. I don't have time. How much time do I have? 15 minutes yet. Okay. So I needed to know whether it is true, and so I began. I started with my first ayahuasca journey. And on the screen, you can see the Bardo states. This is an excerpt of my diary. Before getting deeper, Mother Ayahuasca gave me a beautiful jungle of intertwined coiling snakes with near infinite number of eyes. In many cultures, it is an archetypal symbol of the angel of death, the guard of the underworld, and Mother was going to open the gates to me. The vibration, accompanied by a weird sound, increased in intensity, which kind of paralleled with a slight anxiety. I was anxious. Am I going to experience an OBE? I didn't have time to get answers. My consciousness broke out of my body. The vibration was getting stronger and stronger. It came in regular waves and like an electric shock. Suddenly, I was back in my body, lying on the floor. I was so heavy, I couldn't lift my eyelids, nor could I move. Slight panic started creeping in my head, although I was aware of the Mother next to me. I began to melt like metal and soak into the floor. I desperately wanted to drink. I tried to ask for help, but I couldn't make a sound. From that flatness and heaviness, 4 pillars, 4 columns arose, white, blue, dark, brown and red. They began spinning around and one by one disintegrate, burst into particles and disappeared. Then a beam of bright golden glittering light appeared above me. The light was shocking but very comfortable, loving and calming. Then all the feelings were gone. I only had awareness. For a split second, I didn't know I existed. I was aware of an eagle flying high in the sky. I followed the bird. After a while, I realized I was looking out through the eyes of the eagle. Complete annihilation. This is a journey in consciousness, is my conclusion. And the state of mind at the moment of dying is of an utmost importance. It determines whether you're crossing over. Your journey in your consciousness will be a beautiful journey or a horror trip. My next experience was life review and reincarnation. The life review was interesting. I saw a brick wall and I came close to the brick wall and I knocked on a brick and it flipped over and there was a little film from my life showing some life events. And then the next one, then the next one, and the next one. And then I went through all my life. That was beautiful. And after all the bricks had turned over, I found myself on a hilltop in a dim landscape. I was shown yet another animated picture, but this time on a much larger scale. I saw that everyone is a direct extension of the one creator, the ultimate consciousness. It seemed like the creator had myriad of hands and we were its fingers like fingertips. Like God is playing with us and we are the extensions of his fingertips. And it is extremely complicated to explain really in words. Our true self is pure consciousness. Pure consciousness. And it is fluid, it moves, it changes itself constantly. Universe, it's constantly moving, it's constantly changing shapes, it's constantly making patterns. It's beautiful. And it's like water flows over a surface. As pure consciousness, we can shift and change from instant to instant with the speed of thought. We think we are there. But we always stay connected to the universal consciousness. We disconnect ourselves with our minds, stop our minds, stop our inner dialogues, and we are back to the universal consciousness. We merge with it. It somehow changes when it's caught in a stable form, our physical body. But if we think nearly all the molecules in our body are replaced by new molecules every year, there is kind of that flow inside our physical bodies as well. We just don't feel them in our normal waking consciousness. And when we escape the illusion of solidity, as I call it, we flow perfectly with no effort. And this is a never-ending process from expanded consciousness into the form of kind of contracted consciousness and back again into the expanded consciousness. It's like the universe breathing in and breathing out. It is complicated and I wish I had more ability to describe it. And that's what my teacher Christopher Beisch says, that he kind of puts it even on a higher, vaster scale, how all the humanity comes in and goes out like waves, like ocean waves. That's beautiful. Yeah, and the last thing that I wanted to tell you is about the summer solstice of 2022. I don't know whether I can tell that. 2 minutes? 10? I overdosed psilocybin cubensis on purpose because I wanted to know what happens and I was still writing my dissertation. In 20 minutes, I was deeply in the experience and the sense of heaviness at that moment was overwhelming. Then the house, the trees, the sky, the universe, me, and everything merged and took the visual form of a giant, shimmering, glittering, shiny, bright, white, three-dimensional net. I don't know how to describe it. It's beyond my words, obviously. It's three-dimensional and it's like matrix in a way, but it is moving. It is constantly moving. I lift my hand and it's moving. So we can understand the butterfly effect now. I did immediately understood the butterfly effect. So I was told by the spirit of the medicine that what I am experiencing is the fabric of life that holds together everything that exists. It was calling me, it was pulling me with a very specific kind of vibration. And I was told by the master plant that it is the vibration of death. And as a professional, I have to find out the right frequency for that, which I haven't yet managed to find. The right frequency. The death has a specific frequency, and when this frequency, the body starts, the brain starts vibrating in that frequency, then it's easy for the soul the soul is a vehicle of your consciousness, and it is easy for the soul to carry your consciousness out. And this is my next research now. I want to find out this right frequency. I know it sounds a bit mad, but but yeah, this is what I want to do. So basically, I surrendered. I let my vibration kind of merge with the vibration of the net. I left the body, and then I saw the silver ones, and this was interesting. The entities, they looked like the silver ones. They looked like the angels from the Christian art. They had those kind of wings made of the cosmic mist. But the closer they came, the most clear it was that they have like these energy purples next to him. They were not the wings, but actually like energies. And this is how we travel between planes. That's what they said. And they took my soul, and off I went. And I thought to myself, this is the way I want to go when my time has come. Yeah, and conclusions. Yeah, my teacher, Pema Chodron, says, one thing is clear, we all are going to die. And the only thing we will take with us is the state of our mind. She also said that when it comes to sudden death, like an accident, your last thoughts dictate the dying experience. So you don't want to enter the ultimate journey with swear words in your head. So you have to be really careful what happens. And yeah, I really like this Michael Pollan quote about dying, that dying is truly like a psychedelic experience. You notice similarities, like do not run away, be present, be with whatever is happening, witness, surrender, let go. That's my work. That's what I do. If you fight, you get a bad trip. If you let go and surrender, you have a beautiful journey during which the ego sleeps and the mind plays, proposing unexpected patterns of thought and new rays of relation. The gap between self and world closes down, allowing us to feel part and particle of some larger entity. And whether we call it nature, the universal consciousness, or God, hardly matters. But it seems to be crucible in that merging that death loses its sting. So what about me? Is my death going to be like that? Do I believe it? It's not about believing. It's about deep knowing that the master plans give you. Once you are there, they give you this deep, deep knowing, and nothing can shatter it. When my actual death comes, I don't want to have a complex series of adventures in consciousness without being prepared. And Ram Dass says, I wish to be able to stand aside from my death of the body and view this transition from awareness. This is extremely difficult, but not impossible. In any case, we aspire in that direction, knowing that the degree to which we can enter the universal consciousness will stabilize us through the tumult of dying. We prepare for death by balancing our minds when we are still here and easing our access to the universal consciousness. So, once again, the expansion of consciousness is very, very important. The change of consciousness is very important if we want to experience a good death. So, and the last thing is the story of the dying Buddha. Do you know that? I found it quite recently. The final words of the Buddha, his disciples asked him to say something before he goes, and he said, become a light unto your own self. And then he left them a mantra, Gate Gate, Parasam Gate Bodhiswaha, which means beyond, beyond, go beyond the beyond. So I wish you all the same. Go beyond. Choose whichever way you want, master plants or meditation or whatever. Go beyond the beyond, beyond the great beyond. Be unstoppable in your journey to explore the domains of consciousness, beyond the known, beyond the unknowable, and become a light into your own self.